In this one, I'm going to be talking about what makes a narcissist chase after you to where they just can't leave you alone, to where they just want to have all of your time. They're just obsessed with you. What causes them to become that way? And as many of you know, I am really the OG, the grandfather of these types of videos. I did one video titled How to Make a Narcissist Obsessed with You. This was about 5 years ago, and it has about 800,000 views. So I do know what I'm talking about when it comes to making someone chase you or obsess over you. And yeah, I'm going to be giving you in this video, I'm going to give you 6 reasons why they may pursue you. And also stay tuned for towards the end of the video after I've given the reasons, because I will have another message to say as well on this topic, which many of you may never have thought about it this way. So it will really give you a different perspective on what causes people to chase each other. Because really it's not what you think. And that's why I'd really like to share that with you at the end of the video as well. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, the first reason why a narcissist will chase after you is because you've got no contact or you've pulled away. Because think about it. For someone to chase after you, you can't still be there. If you're there, then how are they chasing? They can't chase someone who's right in front of them, someone who's not gone anywhere. So you have to move first. You have to pull away and then they can chase after you. People tend to chase after things that are running away because they can't chase after something that's there and always there. So this is the first thing to understand, is that you have to be moving away. You have to be going somewhere. You have to have gone no contact or pulled away from them. Because narcissists, they do thrive on attention and validation. They may not seem that way with you and them because you're always there, you're always around them. So they're always getting attention and validation from you. You will really start to notice it when you do pull away. That's when they're going to chase after you. And that's when they're going to want your attention and validation. And you may not have noticed it that way before because you were always there, you were always around them. But of course, when you stop giving it to them, then they're going to want it from you. You have to stop giving them attention and validation first, and then they're going to crave and desire that from you. Then they're going to chase after you to regain that power. So you have to do what they do. You have to deprive them of that. You have to withhold it from them. Just as they withhold things from you, and then that leaves you chasing after them because you're being emotionally manipulated and abused. You're being deprived, starved. So you have to do the same thing to them. You have to give them a taste of their own medicine. You have to deprive them of your love, your validation and attention. And then that gives them room to chase after that from you. They're not going to chase after something if you're constantly drip feeding it to them. How could they chase after it if it's constantly just being given, provided to them? What is there for them to chase if they're already getting it from you? Now that's how you must first go no contact. You must first pull away so that it then leaves room for them to chase you. They're not going to chase you if you're always there and you're providing to them. What is there for them to chase? So you have to give them a reason to chase you. And that's just it. The number one reason why they will chase you is because you've gone no contact or you pulled away. The second reason why a narcissist will chase you is because you've become a challenge. Narcissists love a challenge. They love the thrill of the chase. So if they sense that they're losing you or that you've become emotionally unavailable, such as maybe you've gone grey rock, you stop giving them your emotional reactions, that may trigger their competitive instincts because they want that back. They want your emotions and your reactions again. They want to get that supply. So if you make it challenging for them, they may just try and win you over to get that back from you. Because while they're getting it, they don't really appreciate it that much. They take it for granted. But once they feel that it's slipping away from them, then of course they will become competitive to try and get that back. Give this video a thumbs up if you find it helpful so far. Thank you. The third reason why a narcissist will chase after you is because you appear independent and confident. If you display self-assurance and independence, this can intrigue a narcissist. Because remember, they are drawn to high-value people and people who are difficult to control. Because this feeds their need for validation. To them, if they can control someone who appears to be or is known to be uncontrollable, and someone who is also very valuable, that validates them. Because again, it's like a challenge for them to accomplish that, for them to win you over. It becomes like an achievement to them. It's something that they have won. So yeah, if you display self-assurance and independence, if you act like you're the prize, you know, like how they do, the way they walk around like their poop doesn't stink, the way that they think they're the best thing since sliced bread. If you appear that way, and you didn't even have to go that far and act as arrogant as they do, but just for you to appear independent and just genuinely confident, that may trigger their intrigue. And it may cause them to become drawn to you. And also, actually, no, I won't say that yet. I'll leave that for later on. Let's move on to the fourth reason why a narcissist will chase after you. It's because they feel rejected. They will chase after you because they feel like you have rejected them. Rejection is one of their greatest fears. It's one of their biggest triggers. It's a blow to their ego. It makes them feel irrelevant and unimportant. So they may chase after you just to prove to themselves and even to other people that they can win you back. Because that is a huge blow to their ego. It's for them to feel inadequate, for them to feel like they're just not good enough for you. They're not good enough to get you back. That's something no narcissist wants to accept, and that's why typically they will hoover you as many times as they can, just to prove that to themselves that they can still win you over. And it's really all just about their ego, making themselves feel important. The fifth reason why a narcissist will chase after you is because you're receiving attention from other people. Narcissists are very jealous and insecure, and they fear losing their supply to another person. It may trigger that competitive instinct again. If they see other people valuing you, it may make them pursue you more aggressively. Even though the entire time they may have undervalued you, taken you for granted, acted like you weren't nothing special. But then when they see someone else valuing you, then they feel like they're losing you. They feel like you're being taken away from them. And it kind of signals something to them. It reminds them of certain valuable qualities about you. They may make them see things that they never saw before in you, just because other people are seeing that now. And this is commonly how it is with narcissists, that they take people for granted, and then you could become successful in your work life, in a business. You could become famous, and then so many other people start to see your worth. And then the narcissist starts to feel jealous, because then suddenly they start to see this value in you because everyone else can see it. Remember, for a narcissist, it's all about their image. It's all about what everyone else sees, how everyone else perceives them. It all revolves around everyone else. So when other people start to value you, it makes them see you differently as well. It makes them value you more. The sixth reason why a narcissist will chase after you is when you set boundaries. Because this signals to a narcissist that you value yourself, and they do feel this need to chase after high value people because it makes them feel insecure. They admire that, but then secretly they envy it as well. They want to take it from you. So when you set a boundary, it signals to them that you value yourself. And while they may initially resist you, eventually at some point they will chase you. Even though it seems like they're never going to chase you, if you just hold off and you continue with the boundary, at some point they will chase you, because then they're starting to feel insecure. If you and a narcissist are both going your separate ways, at some point they're going to be the ones who then come to chase you, because they're the ones who are going to feel insecure. And so they're going to be the ones who want to reestablish that control over the relationship. Well, you're the one who can move on independently and confidently. At least if they didn't sabotage you too badly, because if they did, then you may be seeking support from them in that type of situation. But yeah, those are 6 reasons why a narcissist will chase after you. 1, you've got no contact or pulled away. 2, you've become a challenge. 3, you appear independent and confident. 4, they feel rejected. 5, you're receiving attention from other people. And 6, you set boundaries. But remember, this isn't so much about them caring about you or loving you. They pursue you because of their own selfish motives. It's all about the benefits or conveniences that they can get from you. It's about what you were providing to them, rather than who you are as a person. So yeah, those are the 6 reasons why narcissists will chase after you. Give the video a thumbs up if you found it helpful so far. And yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I do have some more things that I would like to say as well regarding chasing, and not just from the narcissist side, but also from our side as well. And this is me talking from my experience, my research. These are things that I have seen myself, things that I have experienced personally. And, you know, it's funny how you may have this, this idea, this image, this vision of what you would like it to be like with a narcissist, a toxic person, or even, let's just say, someone who is emotionally unavailable. You may have this idea, this vision in your mind of how you would like them to be, how you would like things to go for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we all have our own desires, goals, dreams, and ambitions, the things that we want for ourselves and for our lives, how we hope another person would be or behave towards us. And you find yourself chasing after this. You find yourself wanting things to be a certain way. You want this person to be a certain way. Maybe they're very cold, they're very distant. They're not so affectionate as you would like them to be. And you just find yourself chasing after them, trying to get them to open up, trying to get them to be vulnerable, trying to get them to see you and love you, to be that type of person that you would like them to be, to connect with you, so that you can have this amazing bond, this amazing connection. You may find yourself chasing after that. And this is the interesting thing, because what I can tell you is that most of the time, people who do this, who they see someone who's emotionally unavailable, maybe they're often quite negative, they're sad, they're angry, they're pessimistic, whatever it may be. They're just not really there. They're not really present. They're not the way that you want them to be for you. They don't value or appreciate you the way that you would want them to. Now, this poses quite a challenge to you. It causes you to become very competitive, possibly jealous, quite insecure, because you just want them to be that certain way. You don't want them to be so narcissistic, so selfish. You want them to open up to you. You want them to connect. But actually, you know what happens a lot of times is that even if that was somehow able to happen, even if you were then finally able to have them the way that you wanted them, the chase would be over. The challenge would be gone. That sense of mystery would disappear. And they would become familiar to you. You would feel accustomed to who they are now. And you might quite possibly just lose interest in them. And that person that you thought you wanted all of that time, it will lose that excitement, that enthusiasm. Once you finally got the result that you wanted, you finally won, you got the trophy, you achieved what you set out to do. And this is the same for victims, It's the same for narcissists. It's the same for anyone. Is that often we think that we are obsessed with a person. We want them. We're crazy about them. We can't stop thinking about them. But actually, it's more just the chase. It's the thrill of the chase. It's the challenge. And it's just wanting things to be a certain way, having that desire. But then what then happens if things do turn out that certain way? What happens if they do finally connect to you? They do become emotionally available. What happens is that many of you may just get bored, and not only because you may be chasing after this thrill or a challenge from them that they're posing to you, but also because that may be why they do that. That may be why they're so emotionally unavailable. That may be why they're so shut off and closed off. Why they don't open up to you, why they do stay distant. It's because that's all that they've got to give. All they've got is for them to pose as a challenge to you, as someone that you have to chase and win over. And without that, if they were just there in front of you and there was nothing to hide, there was no more mystery, they were just there, and you saw everything, you knew everything that you needed to know, they would lose that power over you. You would no longer see them the same way. And that's the truth in many cases. Is that what gives them that power and control over you? It's that things are not how you want them to be, and they're constantly withholding and staying distant from you, because that's then what gives them that power. That's what leaves you chasing after them and wanting things to be a certain way. But even if you finally got it, that result that you wanted, you'd probably just get bored of them anyway. Because that's the only thing that makes them seem exciting or interesting. If they take that away, they really haven't got anything. And that's really it. Because if you had them with no holds barred, with no limits or restrictions, most of you, I can tell you, you would get bored. Because there is nothing interesting about them. They are actually very boring people. They have no personality. All they do is mimic people and just follow these trends and just try to remain relevant to people. Try to seem like there's something significant, but underneath that, it's very hollow. There's nothing actually there. And many of you, I know you're good people. Many of you are empaths, and you may not realize it, but what you're doing is not only are they mirroring you back to you, your qualities, and you're kind of falling in love with a reflection of yourself, but also you're looking for that in them. You're looking for them to be that certain way for you, when there's actually nothing there. You are assigning qualities to something that's just like a blank slate, an empty canvas. There's nothing actually there, but you're making it as though there's something there. Because that's how you are, because You're a very kind, loving, affectionate person. I'm just seeing that in something where it isn't even there. That's what many of you are doing. And it makes you want them to chase after you because you're not seeing them as they actually are. You're under the spell. You've been manipulated. Because if you could see them as they actually are, if you could see them without limits, without restrictions, you would get tired. You would get bored very quickly. You would just want to get away from them. You would no longer care about what they're doing, who they're with. You wouldn't feel jealous. You wouldn't feel like you're missing out on anything. And that's what they play on, is that, making you feel like you're missing out on something. Because if you weren't missing out on anything anymore, if you had it all with them, if you had everything you wanted, exactly how you wanted it to be with them, you'd likely just get bored of them. Because there's just no personality. There's nothing there. You're not going to sit down and have this just incredible conversation with them. They don't really care about the things that we do. They're not really that passionate about anything. All they really care about is getting attention, supply, their fake image. There's nothing deeper to them. It's not something where you could actually sit down and have a stimulating conversation with them, where you could bond and connect and really just actually fall in love. It's never going to be like that with them. Not just for you, for anyone. No one's going to have that kind of experience with them. And of course, that's why so many of you then find these communities online, because none of you are having these experiences with them, with self-absorbed, exploitative people who lack empathy, grandiose people. None of you are having these types of experiences with them. Nobody is. Nobody's experiencing a bond, a connection. Everyone feels like they're having to chase after them. Because that's just it. That's all that a narcissist really has, is to make you chase after them. They haven't got anything else. It's all a facade. It's an illusion. It's like the man behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz. You pull that curtain away and you see they're not really God. There's nothing there. There's just an old man behind there. But they seem so big. They seem so larger than life when you're under the spell. But when you begin to wake up, when you begin to see them for what they actually are, that power, that magic, it just fades away. But many of you, and I know many of you, you hold on. You overlooked the red flags at the beginning. You just pretended like nothing was wrong. It was okay. And you just carried on because you wanted it to be real so bad. You wanted it to feel good. Because maybe that's just it, that fantasy. That's what felt good. The reality didn't. And that's just it. The reality really does. The reality really does feel good, when we're talking about with other people. I mean, especially these days, there's very few empaths in the world today. Just people in general, they are going to disappoint you. They are going to fail to meet your expectations, even if they're not narcissists. And that's just how it is, and that's how the fantasy is really better than anything you're actually ever going to get in reality. Other than, of course, in nature. When we go out into nature, that won't let us down. I mean, that is what it is. That is real. Animals too. But when it comes to most people, I mean, it's really all just a fantasy. It's all just this fake magic. Relationships are just a fantasy. Especially when it comes to narcissists, I mean, everything is a fantasy with them. And they stay distant from you. They withhold from you. They try to become this kind of challenge. They play very hard to get. They're hot and cold. They use push and pull. They go back and forth from the love bombing to the devaluation and then back again. They do all of that because, there's so much chaos in their minds that they've got to cause all of this drama externally. And many of you may just want some peace. But then at the same time, you may be addicted to that emotional roller coaster, the highs and the lows, the ups and the downs. That can really keep you hooked. Because even when you're experiencing the downs, it just makes you crave the highs even more. But you take all of that away, just take away all of the drama. I mean, even that, it's all just a result of their mental disorder. That's what's keeping you hooked. That's what's keeping you engaged. And they're like a puzzle that you can never solve. But it kind of reminds me when I was younger, and it's how it is with many narcissists when they're very young. They all tend to have this a common experience amongst them all, is where maybe they open themselves up too much. They didn't withhold enough. And it's like, maybe you had someone when you were younger who you were infatuated with. You felt like they didn't really want you, but you just kind of had this crush on them, and you may have had this little obsession with them. Maybe when you were a teenager or a young adult, and you just create this dream, this big fantasy of them in your minds of how you want them to be. And everything's very grand, very magnificent, perfect, ideal, of how you'd hope they'd be for you. And then maybe one day you actually got close to them. Maybe you got closer to that person. Maybe you went on a date with them. Maybe you were intimate together. And, that's happened with me as well a few times, where I did have this massive crush on someone when I was much younger. It turned into a bit of an obsession, an addiction. But then when I actually got close to them, it's like this person who once seemed so grand, magnificent, invincible, larger than life. They're just perfect, ideal. This big fantasy. That all just fell apart. And as I got closer to them, they then just became a person. And I started to see all of their flaws, their imperfections, and how everything was just actually quite messed up with them. And they were actually a lot worse than most other people, as from what I would imagine. And sometimes it's because they're presenting this fantasy to us because they're trying to compensate for that, for their issues and their flaws. But then also we like to go along with it and we create this fantasy surrounding them because we just don't want to accept it ourselves. We want things to be better. We want to have something to look forward to, something to dream about. But yeah, maybe some of you have experienced that as well, where you had a crush on someone and in your mind you made them out to be something so grand and magnificent, so special. It's fantasy. And it seemed that way at a distance, but then the closer you get to them, that all just falls apart and then they become a human. And it's like instead of them being this incredible, popular person who is like everyone else wants and likes and wishes they could be around, once you get closer to them, it just takes that sense of power away. And they just seem kind of weak, helpless, insecure, vulnerable. They just don't really seem that special then. And that's how it is, especially when people present such a larger than life facade. It does tend to have a completely opposite effect as you do get closer to them. And this is why it's much better to be real. Instead of acting like you're so much bigger and greater than what you actually are, as many people do these days. Because then what happens when people get close to them? What happens when they like someone? What happens when they want to be with someone and then that person just sees this grand facade and that's what they fall for. They fall for the challenge. And then it's like you have to keep people at a distance for the rest of your life. You always have to be unavailable emotionally. You can never connect to anyone. Because if you do, then it's like, then they see you haven't got anything. All you had was the facade. All you had was being a challenge, being mysterious. What happens when all of that goes away? But yeah, that's how it is. I mean, everything that they portray themselves to be, this fantasy that they fed to you about themselves, it only works at a distance and for a short period of time. And then they have to use all of these other tactics, such as the future faking, gaslighting, triangulation. They have to use all of these things to distort your perceptions of them. Because this is really just one of their greatest fears, is that you do catch on to them and you do realize really it is all an illusion. They're nothing like how you think they are. And even if they could be vulnerable, they could open up to you, even if they didn't have so much trauma, even if they didn't have this mental disorder, That would just take all of the mystery away. It would take away those emotional highs and lows, the roller coaster that you may have become addicted to. Once you take all of that away, once you take away the trauma bond, you just see an empty, helpless person. That's all that they are. And of course, that's why they create all of these distractions, because they know once all of that goes away, once you take away the facades, the distractions, the lights, the music, once you take all of that away, there's really nothing left. There's really nothing there for you. And so that's the purpose of it. It's all intended to distract you. Because if they were just one-on-one real with you, without all of the illusions, the distractions, and all of the chaos, the withholding behaviors, if they just stopped engaging in all of that, many of you would just get bored because they haven't got anything else. And that's why they engage in all of these behaviors, because they want to remain relevant. That's why they do these things. Because then at least they're on people's minds, they're significant to people. And that's a big part of the disorder, is that they do not want to be forgotten. And sometimes you wonder, why are they doing such crazy things? Why are they devouring you, hurting you, cheating on you, stealing from you? And they just seem to, they just lack empathy. The way that they can do these things to you, and sometimes they might even leave hints or clues that they've been cheating. And it just brings them such joy and amusement, because for them, it's like, at least they're relevant to you now. You're thinking about them. And that's all that really matters to them, is that as long as you're thinking about them, because they just don't want to be forgotten. They want to be remembered by you. They want to be remembered by a high value special person. Because with you, I mean, many of you, you do have good qualities. There are many good things about you. And many of you may be very engaging, interesting people. But it's a difference with a narcissist, because the way that they are, because they're predators, they like to pursue. So once they've got you, doesn't matter how interesting you are, they will lose interest, because for them it's all about the pursuit. And it's only once you start to step away, or once you have other people's attention, then they're going to start to take notice of you more. But as long as they have you, then they will undervalue you. They will take you for granted. They look at it like, if it's so great, then what is it doing around them? Because they know they're no good. They look at it like, if you were any good, then you wouldn't be anywhere near them. You would see that they're not anything of value. But yeah, this is an important thing to take note of, is that, these things, The emotional roller coaster, the highs and lows, the hot and cold, push and pull, the adrenaline rush. This actually has more to do with the individual than it does to do with the other person. It actually has very little to do with who the other person actually is. Because it's a delusion. Many of us, we were under a spell. We were delusional ourselves. We were manipulated, gaslighted. We were in a trance. We didn't see what was actually going on and who we're actually dealing with. And that's what produces these chemicals. That's what causes the release of dopamine and adrenaline, is that in your mind, this is really like your perfect match. It's what you're putting on to this person. It's how you want them to be. It's your fantasy. And then they're just going along with it. They're playing along with the fantasy, even though they know that's not really them. And this is what makes it so powerful, because it causes you to think that they're your soulmate, they're the one. Well, actually, no, the one, this experience you're having with the one, your soulmate, it's not external, it's internal. This is happening inside you, and they're just playing along. That's what you've got to understand. And yeah, we just assign this to them. We give them that power over us by assuming that they are a certain way, by assuming that they are our soulmate and that there is this magical connection. When actually, no, it's just in our heads. It's in our minds. Because instead of just feeling everything, we need to stop and look at their actions and think, hold on a minute. This is anything that we would like. This is the one. This is our soulmate. Someone who treats me this way. Someone who can't even be vulnerable. They're emotionally unavailable. Traumatized, disordered person who enjoys chaos and dysfunction. Cheats on me, lies to me, steals from me. That's the one. That's my soulmate. That's the one who my heart beats for. I mean, we got to think about this. Like, that's not your soulmate. That's not love. Love doesn't hurt. It doesn't cause you pain. And, you know, I do believe in love. I believe that love is real. And I believe that most of the time I do vibrate at the frequency of love. And I love everything and everyone. I love animals, people. I love food, water. I love the planet Earth. I can say that I love everything. As long as I'm not too close to it, as long as it's at a distance, I mean, you know, I can feel compassion for disordered people from afar. But if I get too close, of course, you know, it might upset me. It might make me angry. But from afar, I'm okay. I can have compassion for them. I can love them from a distance. But yeah, we got to understand that a lot of these relationships that you're having, you know, you think that it's love, a connection, real intimacy, a soulmate. It's really not. It's all in our minds, and we are feeding into it. We're entertaining it. And I've done this myself so many times. And that's just it. When I look back at some of my relationships, and it's like, it was so special, it was so magical. It was in my head. It was a delusion. I was under a spell, and it was often a spell of my own making. And the narcissist saw that and then played along with it. But that's just it. No one can make you feel better than you can make yourself feel. I mean, not unless, they're able to be vulnerable, and, they're able to be authentic and to connect, because that's just it. Then you become more like each other. You become more like them, and they become more like you, and you just you blend and coordinate together. So, but either way, I mean, happiness, love, this is internal. It happens inside of us. It's not something that's out there. I mean, yes, things can happen and cause us to feel a certain way. But really, you can feel that way already just by giving yourself permission to feel it. You could just imagine a certain event in your head, and you're going to have those exact same emotions and feelings and sensations as if that actually happened in real life. Your brain is not going to know the difference. And in fact, I mean, it can be more powerful in our minds because our minds can create things that may be impossible in real life. This is why meditation is very powerful. It's all in the mind. And this is what we're going to realize. I mean, these narcissists, they are effing with your minds. They're screwing you in your mind. Got you under a spell. And it's quite literally just all in your mind. It really is. And yet we play along with it because it feels good for us. It does feel good, to put someone else on a pedestal and believe that they're so special, they're so wonderful. It gives us hope. It makes us feel good. It feels good to believe in something. And of course it does. This is why so many religions around the world, billions of Christians, Muslims who worship Jesus, Muhammad, because it feels so good to put someone on that pedestal, to worship them. And I'm not disputing that certain books or historical records aren't true or not true. that's not what I'm going into in this video, but more about how religions are so popular and why we enjoy putting people on pedestals and worshipping them. We do. And I know many people have enjoyed doing that with me too. Is to see me as this, this larger than life character, perhaps, this narcissist layer. But it's like, of course, I'm not really ideal. I have plenty of flaws, plenty of imperfections, I've made plenty of mistakes, screwed up a lot of times in my life. It took me a long time to get things right. But that's just it. I mean, that's what we should be seeking is, it's like even though you see a person's flaws, you see their weaknesses, and you like their quirks, their mannerisms, you like the things that aren't perfect about them. You accept them. You like the things that are unique, even though they may be flaws, imperfections. You accept them anyway. Now, I think that's what it means to love someone. That's what acceptance is. That's what love is acceptance. They may not be perfect, but you still accept them. But anything else, like when you put them on a pedestal, when you worship them, it's kind of a delusion. As far as we know, I mean, who knows? I'm not gonna say that Jesus or Muhammad are not perfect. I don't know. I don't know the answers to that. I mean, we can only just theorize these things. We can't know for sure. And this is why, everything is really a theory, scientific theory, psychological theory, because it's kind of limited to us. And, how can we, with our instrument, our brain, how can we determine what is 100% true or real? I mean, that's kind of a delusion in itself to think that just our body, our brain can decide if something is real or true just because we think it is. But of course, we kind of have to have that. So we have to kind of see things in that way because otherwise we just do anything. We just believe in anything. So we have to have some kind of understanding there. But really the truth is, I mean, it's all limited by our brains. Just because our brains perceive of something, our eyes see something, we hear something, that doesn't mean that it's actually there. It doesn't really mean anything as far as we know. It could all be fake. Everything that we think is real, our entire history on this planet and all of the stars, it could all just be in our imagination. And maybe it is just our beliefs that give everything power. Not just give the narcissist power, but everything. As I mentioned in some of my earlier live videos, our beliefs create our reality. Whatever you believe, repetition fuels belief. If you want to, you can make yourself believe something that isn't even true. You can make yourself believe something that isn't even true. And guess what happens? If you are so convinced, if you're so confident about it, you really believe that it's true. You brainwashed yourself to believe in something to be true. Other people are going to see your confidence in believing this, and they're going to start to think that it's true as well. Even though you may have just put a spell on yourself. You may have brainwashed yourself. This happens all the time. Because it appears to be true. Our beliefs do appear to create our reality. And perhaps everything that we see, everything that we perceive of, it's only because we believe in it. It's only because of our belief. And of course, because there's other people who are in agreement with us, it makes it even more believable. And what if the only reason that anything actually exists is because we exist, is because we're human, conscious, and to where we're able to have beliefs, and it's our beliefs that give life to things. Almost like we're all gods in our own way. But who knows? Like I said, our beliefs create our reality. That's a belief as well. That's a belief as well. But yeah, this is how you got to look at it. And there's nothing really wrong with fantasy. It's just what we do as humans. Yes, we do engage in fantasy. We do like using our imaginations and, imagining things to be ideal and putting people on pedestals, adoring them. That's what we enjoy doing as humans, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. It's something that children do. They like to engage in play. They like to imagine things. So, if you're in a safe space with someone you trust, someone who is not going to exploit you or take advantage of you, then it's safe for you to play and imagine things and have fantasies. I mean, just any kind of relationship is a fantasy anyway. But that's the thing, is that we do this with the wrong people. You can do it. You can idealize someone. You can fantasize about them. It's fine as long as they don't take advantage of it. As long as they don't use it to their advantage to have control over you and to destroy you. Now that's why we do need to have some kind of awareness of it. When we get engaged in these things with people, when we're getting too close, when we are maybe developing an obsession over someone, because many of us, this is what we were conditioned to do in childhood, is to have these fantasies about our narcissistic parents. See them as perfect, see them as a god, see them as a hero, and then sometimes a victim as well. But then even when they're a victim, they're also ideal, they're perfect, they're flawless. This is how we were conditioned to be. And yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the main selling points of religion, is to have someone who is ideal, like this parent. They're like this ideal hero and also a perfect victim, a rescuer, a savior. If you've been with an narcissist, that is everything that they try to be. They try to be like Jesus or like a god. Sometimes they want to be the hero, they want to be the victim, they want to be the rescuer, they want to be the persecutor. Either way, whatever role they're playing, they're perfect, they're ideal, they're on a pedestal, they're meant to be worshipped. And these are just the dynamics that we find ourselves in. But I'm not saying anything against anybody's religion. I mean, I myself, I am more spiritual and I'm very much into science. But that's just it. I mean, no one can actually prove that a certain religion is wrong or that, God doesn't exist. I myself, I believe that God exists. Nobody can disprove any of these things. So, yeah, we don't know. We do not know. But who knows? I mean, maybe within our lifetime, we will start to know a lot more. Maybe we will begin to understand if there is some connection between religion and science. And I personally think that something like that could start to unfold to some degree within our lifetime in the form of religion or spirituality, and maybe it's connection to what we do discover more about the universe. I think that may start to reveal itself. But of course, people aren't ever going to be 100% certain about it. How's everyone doing in the live chats? How are we today? Yeah, a big part of these things, when we're chasing after the narcissist, when we're trying to prove ourselves to them, a lot of the times, this is just a fantasy for us as well. We're chasing after something that we don't even want, that they're pretending to be, or that we wish that they were. So we see it in them even though it's not even there. Oh, that's a good one. John Tracy says, mention the universe to narcissists. They'll be bored stiff. Many of them will because, they're very much attached to this world. They're materialistic. It's all about their image. And, that's probably a narcissist's worst nightmare is to leave this world, because then they can no longer get supply. And, for there to be a soul and afterlife, it kind of just takes away their feelings of being special, different from everyone else, better, superior. It's like, they have to be special, more special than everyone else. But yeah, I guess what I'm really talking about here is having the consciousness and awareness of these things, because the truth is, 8 billion people in the world, and we have billionaires, elite people, even psychologists, doctors. Most of these people are asleep. Most of these people are not really awake and aware. They're not really living. They're not really, they're asleep. They have a limited awareness of life, the world, the universe. They're kind of essentially, most people And even myself at one point, we're all just like we're just like mice in a cage. That's all that we are. And we're just kind of on autopilot. We're not really aware. We're just kind of just going through the motions. That's what most of us are like. Most of us are not fully conscious. I mean, many of you now that you found this type of content, you are definitely onto something. You're in the right direction. And, I myself, I feel like when I make these videos, I'm kind of like Morpheus. I don't know, maybe one of you is Neo. Maybe one of you is the one. But I do feel that way sometimes, as though like I am Morpheus and I have some kind of I have like a special awareness that the way that I perceive things is in a way that most people don't. And perhaps that's because I've spent most of my life alone. So I haven't been in the matrix with everyone else. I haven't drunk any alcohol for over 7 years. I have a clear mind. And that's just it, because of the peer pressure, social conditioning, media influence. Everyone else is just in the matrix. They're just working several days a week, and at the end of the week, then they go to the bars, they go to the clubs. They just spend a certain amount of their life working, going to the college, and then they want to get a house, a car, they have children, they get married. Maybe not in that specific order, but maybe they need to reorder some of those things. But this is it, and then they get to a certain age, and they get old, and then their life is over, and their entire life they never thought about things on a deeper level. They never questioned everything. They were never curious enough to dissect things, to see what's really going on, and they were just stuck in the matrix. And this happens to me sometimes as well. I mean, I have gone back into the matrix before. And every time that I do, I get kicked out of it. I get punished for going into it because I don't belong there. I'm not meant to be in the matrix. I'm meant to wake people up. That's what I came here to do. I came here to wake everyone up. And I'm not here to tell you what's really going on. I mean, I am, but that's not my main focus. For me, it's more just to let you know that there are different layers of consciousness and awareness. There's different levels to it. It's like peeling an onion. There's more and more layers that you're uncovering because you've learned all of these things. We've been taught all of these things, and we have to peel all of the layers off, and then we uncover the truth. And at the core of it is love. That's what's at the core of it all. But you really have to think about these things for yourself. Just stop thinking about what you've been told. Question everything. Even go outside of religion. And Just question everything about the universe, our history, UFOs, people. Question all of it. Do your research and think outside the box. I believe that's what we came here to do. I believe that we came here to awaken to who we are again. That's what I believe. I myself, I'm very fascinated with all of these things, with like researching about the universe, UFOs, and even history sometimes. I know it can be kind of dark, but mostly in real life, I've been to a lot of museums and also things to do with the wars, and I believe there's a purpose to all of this. I believe there's a reason why I'm so fascinated and curious about certain things, and that I am meant to explore those things a bit deeper. But yeah, it's important to have that special awareness. For me, I'm almost always aware that this world is just we're just walking on land, and we're kind of just like a giant rock orbiting the sun in the vastness that is space. I always remind myself of that. It's just being conditioned, and in most places you can't see the sky, you can't see the stars, the galaxy. So it just feels like this is all there is. And we don't realize what's actually out there. And also that we are connected, we are a part of that. And yeah, that's just it. That's what I want to leave you with for this video. Is for you to wake up to that, to raise your consciousness and awareness. Just be aware of all of these things and just how ridiculous everything is. Like you see so many egotistical people. Everything is so superficial. And it's like, and I've always thought this way, it's like, you do realize you're just one of 8 billion people who is, you're living on a rock that's orbiting the sun, like tens of thousands of kilometers an hour, ridiculous speeds, and even the sun is just orbiting a supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy. And even that supermassive black hole and the entire galaxy is traveling towards this great attractor. We didn't even know what it is yet. All of this is going on outside of us, and it's just crazy when you think about it, how detached People are. And I think that even with myself, I mean, how I was in the past, it's crazy how detached I was, how asleep. And you just look at it on the TV and you see the politics, you see the kings, the queens, the presidents. They seem so important, so powerful, and it's like, in the grand scheme of things, they actually have no power at all. There's really not much they could do if a giant asteroid came hurtling towards the planet. If it just appeared out of nowhere, undetected, if UFOs wanted to blow us up, or just anything that could happen. And that's just how it is. And yet these narcissists, they act so invincible, untouchable. It's really quite the opposite. It is the opposite because of the way that they are. But I've said it before, I mean, but yeah, I don't like to go off on things. I like to go a little bit off topic towards the end. Just finish off with a spiritual message. It's all about the awakening, the awareness, raising our consciousness, questioning everything that you've been taught. No matter what it's about, question it all. And, not even just believe in everything that I tell you. Question everything for yourself and come to your own conclusions about it. See what's true for you. And let's share our ideas and discoveries together. Let's learn from each other. But yeah, it's been a long day for me. So that's it for this video. I enjoy talking with you. I'm going to get ready for sleep. Thank you all. Give it a thumbs up if you found it helpful. And I will talk to you in another one very soon.